Okay, Matt, thank you for joining us today for this live seminar in VR. We have a lot of people here down in front of us watching all of this. So thank you to everybody who's joining us today. This is exciting. I hope you've toured around the Infiniverse and checked out the storefronts, and you'll be able to find Proteus' storefront and waiting room. After this seminar, you can go right behind you to the door and check a little bit more, and you can put an inquiry form, especially if you're a teacher and you really like what you hear today. So with no further ado, Matt, would you like to introduce yourself and a little bit about your company?
Yes, so I'm the founder of Platius VR. We are doing VR for education and enterprise since 2014, so a few years back. And so yeah, we are now established in several schools and enterprises. And it's very exciting because VR is accelerating, and we are seeking for new technologies anytime soon. So it's very exciting times right now for VR and remote education.
Great. And you know, Proteus, tell me, you guys do a lot of things and a lot of development. And I know when I checked out some of this stuff, talk to me a little bit about the engine that you've chosen to develop on.
Yeah, we chose to work with the Unreal Engine, mostly because and way back, like in 2013, it was easier to work with this engine in VR back in the time, and also because of the quality of the graphics. But since this time, we stick with Unreal Engine, and they are very supportive of us. They gave us a mega grant last year, and they are very supportive, and they are very advanced and supportive for the VR. And it's pretty much easy to develop also for a different platform with them. So, and of course, the visual quality is still there. So I think we are working with the better platform without naming the other one, of course.
Yeah. Well, I was pretty excited to take a tour around some of your labs,
Yes.
and if you could talk a little bit more about what you're doing. You're based in Canada, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And talk a little bit more about what you're doing with those labs and meeting with schools, and maybe how those schools are using that.
Yes. So we are developing primarily labs for school and enterprises, because I have I don't have a developer background, but I have a scientific background. So I did 2 PhDs. So I'm very used to research and working in a lab, and that's why we wanted to transpose the curriculum, the lab curriculum, into the virtual reality. And our credo is that we want to be very, very realistic, to be able to transpose what you learn in VR into the real world. So that's why we don't have any, we have a very low gamification of what we are doing. And we know it, of course. So sometimes we are saying that we are doing a very boring games. We don't have a lot of zombies or action, but we want to do it like that, because you have to be very realistic. So that's why you don't have like flying menus or stars or magic things appearing in the air. So everything is based on reality, like you will see it in reality. And even like the menus, when we want to, of course, we need a menu to interface with the application, but the menu is in an iPad. Which is somewhere in the lab that you just pick it up and you can interface with the menu. So saying that, we didn't want to have a flying menu or flying things or things that you don't see in reality. Saying that doesn't mean that we can take some liberties, of course. So That means that we can work with dangerous products, and we can do, of course, things that could be dangerous or too costly to do in reality.
Right.
So that's one of the goal of VR, I think. It's to be able to do things that could be too difficult or too costly to do in reality.
Or risky. I know that
Exactly.
many of your experiences and with your background are really accurate for the reaction of the chemicals or the compounds that you're mixing together. Can you talk, just maybe give an example of a lab? And I think I would really like to see one in action, like what it looks like in VR, if you could show us here today.
Yeah, I can show it if you want. I don't know, I can share my screen, I think.
Yeah. And then just make sure the sound is turned on. Again, this is live, so if there's some technical difficulties.
Yeah, okay, show you.
Yeah.
Share. So let's say that I show you that. So if it's okay, yeah, you can.
Yeah, I see it. Yep, it's.
So you see the lab there, and show you in action. So you can see like realistic things like using the meniscus when you measure something in a cylinder. You saw a little bit of the iPad. Here you use the balance, you tear your things, you measure, you weight your things. I think in this experience I was doing gas measurement, meaning that you mix two different compounds and it will produce a gas, and you will be able to measure the gas using an apparatus like, I think, like, yeah, this one, a burette, a gas burette. So you can measure the amount of gas that is produced by the reaction. So it's very difficult to simulate chemical reactions, even the basic ones. Because what you will find in the books, and you can easily compute, like if you mix two products, let's say that you mix magnesium and chloric acid, you mix them together, and you will obtain like an exothermic reaction. You will have that quantity of gas that is produced. So this is very easy to compute. What is difficult to compute is what's happening between that. So what is the rate of the reaction? What will happen? How the gas will be produced? What kind of curve will it be? So like simulating chemical reaction in real time in VR is very, very difficult, and very difficult to simulate, because you won't find easily this information.
Right.
And we're not even talking more complex reaction when you mix two different things more. So this is where the difficulty is. That's why we work with a university, Université de Sherbrooke. It's a local university here in Quebec. And we have a lab that is called at the chemistry department. And we have students there that are working with us, and they are doing the experiences with us. And they are giving us the data that we need to simulate the reactions. So they are doing for real these reaction, and they are giving us the data, because even if you do a very, very thorough search, you probably won't find this information.
Yeah.
What happens when you mix two different things? So yeah, so the answer is it's very easy to know the end reaction, but between that, you practically have to have a lab and do it.
Well, and I noticed going through your experiences too, it's great. There's some walkthroughs in terms of what you need to do next, the steps. I know that you have a content library right now of chemistry reactions. How big is that content library at this point for chemistry alone?
Yes, for now in chemistry, we have around 12 different products. You can see some of them there. Some of them are in liquid, some of them are in solid form, and we are expanding monthly the amount of products. And again, the limitation is that the data we have. So again, it's easy to know the end reaction, but if you want to have the data between that, you need to do the reaction.
I wish I could have done this in my chemistry high school
yes.
class, because man, you get in there and you get to do a few little things in your chemistry class, but something like this where you get to work with all kinds of different gas and solid reactions and interact with it. It's really, it really sticks in your mind. So
Yes.
if I'm a teacher out here in front of us watching, they're like, "Whoa, I want to add that." It seems what are my steps as far as if I already have goggles, I can just sign up and I get the app and I can put it in my curriculum.
Yes.
Do you integrate with LMS systems?
Yes, exactly. We fully integrate with different LMS. We tried Canvas, Sparks, Moodle, and others. So yeah, we can integrate, meaning that we are integrated for the login. So to log in the app, you just use your school LMS login. And at the end of the app, you receive your lab report on Excel spreadsheet. And you can receive it directly into your LMS account, like in the folder in your files, receive files in your account. Depending on the LMS, Perfect. It can be a little bit different. But so you received it in your LMS, and or you can receive it via email, depending on what you prefer.
And as a school, is it a site license for all chemistry classes, or is a per user license?
We have two different models. So depending on if you have less than 10 users, we can do 5 or 10 user agreement license. And if you have more than that, we can do a school license simply.
Okay.
And what I wanted, one of the very important thing is that we are multiplayer. So you can
right.
see
I was going to point. Ask that.
Yeah, in this little clip, we are two different people. So let's say that you have your teacher or another student. So you can be up to 5 people in the lab. Okay. And so you don't hear anything, but we have full voice IP. You can communicate. So it's like in real life, in fact.
And how many people can you say 5 can go in there?
Yeah, I say 5 because it depends on the connection. But we for now we put it to 5 because you could theoretically be more, but past that it depends a lot on your connection. And if you don't have a good connection, you will have lagging problems because so less than 5 usually it's very good. And even using a phone for a modem, and like in LTA or 4J, it's very good. You don't have any problem.
Okay, great. And then is it accessible on PC or phone at this time, or what devices can I access as a student if my school signs up for this and I want to do the labs? What do I access with?
For now, it works on pretty much all the devices, so mobile and PC VR. So for the mobile, we work on Oculus Quest 1 and 2, on Vive Focus 3, and on Pico, and PC VR, pretty much all the different machines. So you can find the app, right? Yes.
That's great because that allows just more accessibility. Obviously, virtual reality really has the largest impact on retention when you're in the experience, in the goggles, engaging with the experience. But I think it's very important when a school is considering a 5-year strategic plan of how this integrates. Accessibility is really important there. So it's great to hear that you guys have done that.
And I think that in addition to accessibility, one of the most important thing, and that's something that is sometimes less talked in VR, but it's the security of the app. And we worked a lot to be as secure as possible. So that's why we are full using the OAuth 2 workflow, meaning that we don't manage any passwords or login, and we don't see any passwords or logging. So meaning that you can use your school login and it will pass through the device, but we don't manage that. And it means that you can go into the app through your LMS, through your phone, through any device. In fact, any device will be able to start the app. And after that, of course, you have to put the headset. But just before putting the headset, you can log into the app through pretty much every device. And that's pretty unique doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, thinking about chemistry is great.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more on the expansion of Proteus Labs. What's out there right now that you can talk about? Obviously, there's stuff that you want to keep kind of close to the vest, and then there's other stuff that you can talk about. So tell me the stuff you can talk about for Proteus Labs. What else is out there?
In fact, we have two other areas that we are working right now. The first one is the electronic and electrical circuits. And we have a demo that is pretty much ready to be exposed to the public. That should be ready like tomorrow. So
that's exciting. All right.
Yes. So that means that you can build like elements of a circuit just by like putting switches, resistors, lights, and wires. And after that, you just switch the switch on. You hope that you won't have a short circuit. And if everything is okay, you are able after that to take measures and to see if your circuit works.
Yeah.
And this is only the first steps in electronic, but we will add more components with time. So you will be able to build pretty much anything. Our only limitation is that the size of the things, because we know that in real life when you are building you are working with electrical or electronic components, it's very, very, very small. But in VR, of course, we can't work with very, very small things, so we have to make them bigger. But
well, it's easier to understand that way too as a student, especially at the fundamental level of building circuits. That I feel like that there's so many other avenues that building of circuits can go into out there. And so I think schools have asked about that at the high school level, especially.
Exactly. And this will open the door for the other kind of electronic works. So like repairing robots or repairing machines. So it will use the same components. And the other big area that we are investing right now is the soft skills and let's say real people, putting real people in VR. And that's a very complex thing, but we are working very fast on this area. And that means that you will need to use what we call VR streaming, meaning that another computer will do the compute, like you are using an Oculus Quest, but another computer will do the compute for you, and you will be able to see things in your Quest that are impossible to see with a regular app. So if we want to have real people into our app, we will need this kind of compute power.
No, that sounds exciting.
Yeah, so you will see a demo very soon for that, meaning that you will see like real people into your Quest app, and at a level that usually should be impossible to see with a regular
which really opens up truly hybrid classes, right?
Yes, exactly. And because there is no mobile VR or mobile HoloLens or Magic Leap, anything, it is not enough powerful to let's say make you believe that something is not like real, because you have to use very, very basic meshes with low polygons. But if another device, another computer is doing all the calculations, you can see anything after that with a mobile device. So, so this is the three areas we are working. So the chemistry, the electronic and electrical components, and the soft skills.
Well, as far as a school, I sign up, I get a site license, I have access to all of your current library, and then if I have a teacher and a grant, you will also do some custom stuff for that school, etc. And really, can you just talk roughly around your pricing? I know it's hard because you have different models where there's different amounts of schools, but I know that it's fairly affordable. What are we looking at? Let's say, I'll give you an example. I have a school, I have 200 students that go through my chemistry lab, and I also want access to your circuit board, newly released product soon. What am I looking at in terms of a price for that per year?
Yeah, basically we based our price on buying like a book, and when you buy a book like a chemistry book, usually you have some kind of web access to more materials. So usually we saw that these books, the price you'll see is around like usually $30–40 a year. So we wanted to stay within these prices, and so right now we are around $25–30 depending on the volume per student, and I think it's not expensive because it's on the low on the lowest prices you will find for like electronic access to book. And to have access to a full lab, and even that we include like the electronic components and other settings. You saw the chemistry lab, but we have other settings like in the ocean or right beside the lake. We have different settings where you can do different experiences. So the $30, $25, $30. It's I think it's
adding a workbook, right? So I have a chemistry class and I'm adding a workbook to it, but this is way more fun than a workbook, right? It's in the lab. And
because of course with VR you can do the lab 100 times. You can mix whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. You have all the liberties that you don't have in reality, in fact. And I would say that a lot of schools around here have problem accessing a lab. Some schools don't even have labs, or they are in disrepair or things like that. So this is a real solutions for them.
Yeah, well, thank you for your time today. We're about nearing the end here of our live cast, but what I wanted to ask, just one last thing. So this is the 10th episode of our VR casts, and these will sit onward inside the Infiniverse with your waiting room. So people can always go check this out again inside of the VEDX Infiniverse space. So what I wanted to know is, like, I'm a teacher, I'm watching this right now. I want to get this lab all set up. Kind of walk me through how do I do that right now? I'm a teacher in the US.
Yes, I think the best thing would be to contact VEDX, and there the people will align you through with VEDX people or with our people, and we have people to do that. So to take you to the lab, we have a guide in English, of course. The lab now is in French and English, but it will soon be available also in Spanish. And
perfect. Yeah,
of course,
I was just going to ask you that on Spanish. I was like, how do we get this down to Latin America?
Yeah, we have a dictionary in the lab with all the words that we use. So it's very, very easy to like add another column and change the lab in another language.
Excellent. All right, sir. Well, I think we're just about out of time here. Matthew, thank you so much for your time today. And I hope everybody appreciated a little bit more about what's happening in the education space. Join us every 2 weeks here to learn something new. We're talking about everything education in VR and metaverse. And we've chosen the Infiniverse here produced by FTL to hold all of this, because it's an amazing new space on the headset. So Mathieu, have a great day, and again, I look forward to bringing in some chemistry labs. And for all of you watching, go and fill out an inquiry form if you're a teacher and you want to bring this to your school. The doorway is right behind you, up on the second level. So okay, bye everybody.
Okay, bye.